When you hear the term narcissist, you might think of someone who's kind of stuck on themselves, kind of full of themselves, or you might think of someone who has a complete lack of empathy. But those things are kind of difficult to see, or at least easy to overlook when you're early in a relationship with a new person, whether we're talking about a friend or a romantic partner. I'm going to share with you 12 little-known signs of narcissism that you will catch early in a relationship if you look for them. Number 1. They feel like it's okay to be mean to people. They justify that behavior. So while the narcissist probably has some idea that being mean to people or rude to people is unacceptable in our society, they somehow figure out a way to justify it to themselves and the people around them. They feel like since they've been wronged on some level, they have the right and even maybe the responsibility to be mean to whoever it is that wronged them. On top of that, they tend to get really offended really easily, and they leave a lot of people wondering what the heck they did or said wrong, or people saying things like, but I didn't mean that, or I didn't mean it that way. Number 2, narcissists love to be the leader of something. They like telling people what to do. They think it's almost like their job in the world to do that. Leadership positions work for these people because it helps them to feel in control and to be dominant over other people. And of course, it helps them get their much needed narcissistic supply, or that constant supply of admiration, adoration, positive reinforcement in general. Number 3, they're super hot. They're super attractive, or at least they like to think they are. Not every narcissist is attractive, but most narcissists on some level have the belief that they are in some way better than or more attractive than most people, whether that's physically or otherwise. And even those who aren't attractive seem to have this almost overblown sense of self-confidence that is almost shocking to the people around them. One study done at Washington University found that narcissists did tend to be rated by most people as more attractive or more stylish than others. But that is not always the case. Another study done in 2008 found that while most narcissists rated themselves very highly on the IQ scale, most tested at only average. And in that same study, when people were asked to rate these narcissists based on their looks, the overall ratings in general were lower than the ratings they had given themselves. Number 4, they cheat in relationships. Various studies have shown that narcissists cheat in relationships and that they're more likely than anyone else to do it. They also seem to enjoy the risk, the thrill that goes along with it of not getting caught or getting caught. And they tend to be more risky when it comes to the types of behavior they will engage with. They might try things they normally don't participate in, or they might act really promiscuous as part of their need for narcissistic supply and attention. Number 5, they like to put everybody down. Narcissists are known to need to kind of stand on the heads of other people in order to make themselves feel good enough. It helps them to think more positively of themselves if they can mentally put other people down. It's almost like a drug for them. It's a way they get narcissistic supply. They're always seeking this approval or this validation from people around them, and yet, of course, refusing to do the same thing for those same people. This is part of the reason for number 4, why they cheat so much, because they're always looking for validation from people who don't know all their tricks yet. Number 6, narcissists think everybody else around them is stupid. Now, when you're early in a relationship, this might be a little difficult to see because you're in the love bombing phase, but look really, really closely and watch the way they treat people around them. They might be a know-it-all, or they might just kind of have a hard time getting along with other people in general. And if you listen closely, you'll notice that they tend to not get along with people because they refuse to be wrong about anything. And at first, you might see this as normal and healthy because you're only seeing it from their side of the story. But if after you hear a few stories, you recognize a pattern and you notice that they seem to have this people who think differently than me are wrong kind of mentality, well, then you'll know that you might be dealing with a narcissist. Number 7, nobody ever appreciates them, or at least that's the story they tell you. This is especially true for grandiose narcissists, but you can also see it with covert types. They always feel like everybody owes them something, or everybody should be more thankful to them for something, like the world owes them something. This is where this big sense of entitlement comes in. They think they don't get the recognition they deserve, and they feel offended when other people do. Number 8, they're a bad loser. And what I mean by that is they have a way of needing to win everything. And when they don't, watch out. In fact, if you've been in a relationship with a narcissist very long, you might have gotten to the point where you intentionally lose any game or competition with them just so that you don't have to deal with the after effects of them losing. Worst part of it all is they're also usually a bad winner. They don't do well when they lose, and they might do a little worse when they win by gloating in your face or shoving it down your throat a little too much. Number 9, the narcissist goes really fast with everything. Your relationship started fast. They might have said they love you too quickly, or if it's not a romantic relationship, maybe it's a friendship, they jumped in with both feet, and by the end of week 2, they were calling you their BFF. In any case, the narcissist never moves slowly in relationships. Before you know it, you're stuck smack dab in the middle of one. The worst part is that as fast as it goes and as quickly as you feel a false sense of closeness to this person, you really don't get to know the person at all. It's all an illusion. The truth is that it takes time to get to know a person. It takes time for a person to begin to feel comfortable with you. And in a real healthy relationship, both parties would want to take the time to get to know each other before jumping to that extreme level of commitment. The idea of being swept off your feet might be fun to think about, but in real life, it doesn't really work. Number 10, they are one heck of a storyteller. Narcissists tell stories in a very interesting way. Well, of course, they're almost always the hero or the star of the story, right? We probably guessed that one. We all know that part of the story, and the fact of the matter is most of us probably don't tell a lot of stories where we're the butt of the story, right? So, okay, we get that. But here's the part that you need to really watch for. This is the kind of secret that of the storytelling. And that is when the story does not have a happy ending, the narcissist does not take responsibility for that ending. They absolutely always blame someone else for the unhappy ending unless there's some other game at play here. But one thing that almost every narcissist will do early in your relationship is tell you stories of their past relationships, whether we're talking about friendships or romantic relationships. And here's where you can use this little bit of advice. Listen to the stories they tell you about the former supplies or former friends or other people in their lives. Listen to the way the stories go. And what you'll notice is that in almost every story, the narcissist winds up being either the hero who saved the day or the victim who did nothing wrong and was totally innocent in the whole thing. You will probably feel really sorry for the narcissist when you hear the story. You will probably feel some kind of way about the ex or the friend that they're talking about, some kind of defensive energy you get for them. You'll feel like they've been victimized and your heart will hurt a little bit for them. And that, of course, leads you to want to put your arms around them and tell them everything's okay, they're great, they're awesome, they're amazing, and boom, we have a pity party. We have narcissistic supply in full, and that is in many ways a test they will use against you. Number 11, they have very few friends, or they have a lot of friends they don't know very well. This is not always the case. There are many narcissists who have what seems to be a group of really close friends, but when you look deeper, you see that there's a lot of turmoil in that group. And a lot of the people in the group will have some sense of obligation to the narcissist. But you will see that the narcissist very often does not actually have any close friends. They might have a large group of acquaintances and fan clubs and things like that, but very few people who actually know them for who they are. And usually if you find that they have a best friend or they're really close to their mom or their dad or brother, those people are inevitably enabling the narcissist. They are flying monkeys whether they know it or not. Number 12, I mentioned earlier the sense of entitlement. Well, this is worth mentioning again. Narcissists have an outrageously unearned sense of entitlement. I remember feeling shocked more than once with various narcissists in my life, just simply based on the fact that they really believed that they were entitled to certain privileges or certain things that other people were somehow not entitled to. They needed special treatment. Narcissists do consider themselves more special than other people. They do expect better treatment than other people. They really believe that whatever it is that they want, they should get, and that you should automatically give it to them. And if you don't, you're useless, you're worthless. And here's a little bonus for you. Narcissists will never give you anything without expecting something in return. So even if they really do solve a problem for you, let's say you're behind on the rent and they pay your rent for you, well, then they'll have some sort of payback that's due them, whether they actually ask you to pay them back or they charge you a ridiculous amount of interest or they just expect you to do whatever they want. This is often seen with the altruistic type of narcissist, and it kind of leads them to want to naturally exploit other people without guilt or remorse. They have no empathy. They have no remorse. So it makes sense that they would do this. They see people as objects or extensions of themselves that are just there to kind of serve them, not really as people. And when you don't serve them right, they will most definitely devalue you and discard you, whether they do so permanently or just for the moment with a silent treatment. In the long run, as awesome and charming and fun to be around as narcissists can be, it's all an illusion. Narcissists are great at seeming to be perfect, seeming to be your soulmate. But you have to recognize a few things. First of all, they're never going to give you what you want and need in a relationship. So if you're stuck with one of these people now, you might want to consider getting out, especially if it's still early in the relationship and you haven't really gotten too much damage yet. The fact is, no matter how much you give to them, they are never going to give to you on an equal level and certainly not on a consistent basis the way you will for them. You deserve somebody who loves you for you and who loves you in the way that you deserve to be loved. The value that you hold for them is one of narcissistic supply. What can you do for them? You're better than that, my friend. Don't forget. Early on in the relationship, watch how they treat other people. This will help you know how you're going to be treated in the future. So for example, if you notice they're really mean in the way they talk to their mom or their dad, you might be getting that once they get to know you better. If they talk about all their friends and how their friends screwed them over and did all these horrible things to them, you're going to be that person in the future. If they're saying bad things about their ex and you're in a romantic relationship with them, you can count on the fact that they're going to say those same things about you. Narcissists do tend to abuse in cycles. Be aware of that. Recognize this whole thing for what it is. No matter how amazing they seem, if the red flags are there, as difficult as it might be, take the time to see them and extricate yourself before you're stuck, before you're too enmeshed with this person to get away. Don't make excuses for them and don't minimize this behavior just because you like that person or you think they're attractive. At the very least, it's safe to say that narcissists are resistant to change. I can tell you that in the course of my study and work with survivors of narcissistic abuse, I have never seen a narcissist successfully change in a positive way. And I've interviewed many other experts in this area, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, etc. Never heard of a positive change that was not just a behavior modification that didn't end in a narcissist. The best thing you can do here is set boundaries with this person, focus on the rest of your life and the things that you really do want in your life, and do not let yourself fall into a position to become dependent on this person in any way. My advice, walk away, run away. Don't look back. You deserve better than this, and I don't want you to forget. This brings me to the question of the day. The question of the day is, do you recognize these signs? Do you recognize the red flags of a toxic relationship? Do you recognize the red flags of a narcissist? Share your thoughts, share your ideas, share your experiences in the comment section below, and let's talk about it. As always, thank you so much for being a part of my day and a part of my life. And hey, thanks for letting me be a part of yours. It really does mean a lot to me. Now, before I go, make sure you take a look at the videos I'm going to leave for you right there and right there. And while we're here, hit the subscribe button right over there so we can stay connected and continue on this healing journey together. I'll see you soon.